Yeah, so we're settled in. Happy Monday, you guys. Welcome to my car on this Monday, the 25th of April, the day after we mourn the loss of Guy Lafleur in what was a very moving tribute at the Bell Center. It lasted over 25 minutes. If you missed it, head over to rds.ca. You're going to be able to find the entire 25-minute plus tribute to the legend that was Guy Lafleur, who we lost at the age of 70 on Friday last week. And it's been an interesting time taking in all the tributes, reading so much, hearing so many different anecdotes related to the passing of Guy Lafleur, who no doubt, right, was the last superstar of the Montreal Canadiens, the last legitimate superstar of the Montreal Canadiens. This morning on TSN 690 with Connor McKenna, we asked the question, top three halves that you've seen in your lifetime. In an exercise of generational Hab fans, I'm 43 years old. The best players I've ever watched wear the Canadian colors are Patrick Waugh, Carey Price, and Andrei Markov. And look, there's a lot of honorable mentions, guys that you watch: Yaroslav Halak, Saku Koivu, Mark Recchi, Alex Kovalev, anybody, depending on where you're at. And, we're all spoiled in the sense that we get to watch this team, some more than others. And obviously, if you grew up in the 70s and watch the dynasty, Scotty Bowman, Guy Lafleur, Montreal Canadiens that ran up 4 consecutive titles, we're never going to see that again. I don't believe in my lifetime anyway that we're going to be able to see something like that again. And I mean no disrespect when we talk about the legacies of Patrick Waugh or Saku Koivu or Andrei Markov or Carey Price well down the line. The one thing guys like Guy Lafleur and a whole bunch of other storied members of the Montreal Canadiens had was the championships, running up title after title after title, going back to the 50s with the Rocket, and then, parlaying that into a dynasty era 1970s run with the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think we're going to see that again. And not to suggest that the Montreal Canadiens have been void of superstars since the days of Guy Lafleur's final game as a Montreal Canadien. No, Patrick Waugh helped guide this team to 2 Stanley Cup titles. The Canadiens have been to the Stanley Cup semifinals on more than one occasion. Heck, they got to the Stanley Cup final last year with Carey Price. But to think that, it's going to be the Islanders or it's going to be the storied Montreal Canadiens, we just define dynasties completely differently nowadays. And when we look at the Tampa Bay Lightning that are back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, back-to-back winners, it's something that I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to see that. And, seeing all the tributes and everything else to Guy Lafleur, it did make me think about the importance of local players on the Montreal Canadiens. At the stake of repeating myself, I feel strongly about this as an Anglophone, born and raised here. When we talk about the Montreal Canadiens, it's important that we have Quebec-born players. You'd love Montreal-born players on the Montreal Canadiens, but beggars can't be choosers. And, I really do mean this, that I think playing for the Montreal Canadiens as a Montrealer means more than, let's say, playing for the Calgary Flames as an Albertan, for example. You know what I mean? I don't want to be disrespectful, but here in Quebec, we are different. We are unique. We really are. Like, English is universal. It's coast to coast. Universal. It's everywhere in Canada. Whereas French, obviously, you have it here. You have pockets of it in Ontario. You have pockets of it in New Brunswick, but that's it. Pockets, small samples. Like, go to New Brunswick, get over the border into the province of New Brunswick. And, you've got Sussex, you've got Clare, New Brunswick. You're going to go to establishments there and you're going to go to commerce there and people are going to speak French to you. But the further east you go, the less French there is. And the same thing, the further west you go, the less French there is. Okay. And so that's kind of what I mean about being from here, playing for this team. Means a lot, and it should be treated as special, as unique, as one of a kind, because I do believe we are. In this market, based on our population, we are a unique place, and we need to be treated as such. And look, I don't want to pin this all on the Montreal Canadiens, But there has been a time where I think maybe the organization took the marketplace for granted, thinking that the customer's always going to be here and the tickets are always going to be sold and you never have to worry. It's always the hardest ticket to get. That's not so true anymore. Tickets have been easy to come by, so much so I know a lot of people, myself included, have said, I'm not going to go to the game tonight, right? That needs to change. That whole attitude has to change. And, I don't want to get into why I think that occurred, but I do believe, sitting here in my car today talking to you, that it is changing. And that, Jeff Molson, who's the owner of the organization, I think with him and the rest of the front office realize, man, oh man, we better do something here, because this market won't support us universally no matter what. I think there's a little bit of a sample size, a little bit of a test that they went through, and realizing that Montrealers want to support a winner, and the Montreal Canadiens as an organization mean more to sports fans in this town than any other team, period, point final. And I've said this often on TSN 690. The one thing every other sports team in Montreal or Quebec wishes they had, that the Canadiens own a monopoly of, it's your heart, my heart. They own our emotion. The Alouettes don't. The Expos didn't. Basketball teams have come and gone here, and they don't have it. And the Montreal Canadiens own our emotions. And that's going back to my original point of why we are a unique society. And look, we can get into the whole history of everything else in the Montreal Canadiens and the Montreal Maroons, and who was, if you're English, you played for this team. If you're French, you played for that team. And what this city was like going back 100 years, for example, and what was life like for French Canadians in a province they called home, and the hockey club they supported. And they had their own, a player that spoke French that was from their neighborhood, and that was the best player in the world at that sport. You're damn right that means a lot. And that's why you saw grown adults cry at the loss of Guy Lafleur this weekend. Even so much this morning, we were talking about Guy Lafleur and listening to great journalists and former teammates of the legend, and you get emotional. You get emotional because of, let's say what the political world was like here, and then how the Montreal Canadiens kind of broke the tensions a little bit. And not only did they break tension, they did so with a francophone player that was the best in the world, that was a superstar, that broke the hearts of the Boston Bruins. That was Guy Lafleur. That was a source of pride, something you could hang your hat on and say, oh, when people made fun of you or made fun of your culture, you could talk about, well, yeah, but look at this. Who's laughing now, right? And there was also, the cultural aspect of the Montreal Canadiens. A quick anecdote I can relay to you that actually happened in my personal life on the weekend, right, was my mother-in-law slides into the family chat on Saturday morning. She breaks the news. Guys, Guy Lafleur has passed away. Saturday morning, okay? I just did 4 hours of Guy Lafleur tributes on Friday morning on the All Sports Morning Show I co-host with Connor McKenna. All good stuff. She's a mom. She has 3 kids, moved here from India when she was like in her early 20s with the 3 infants dangling off her, and moved to Canada and Montreal and made a home for herself. She's pretty cool. And I say as my mother-in-law, are you allowed to say that? Nevertheless. So she gets in the family chat. She's like, Guy Lafleur passed away, And my brother-in-law, tongue-in-cheek as he often is, funny guy, is like, who's that, your favorite player, Ma? And her answer back was, I may not know a lot about hockey, but I know who Guy Lafleur is. That's the power. That's what Guy Lafleur and the Montreal Canadiens in those days, for people that are fresh off the boat, coming to the shores of our great country and trying to make a home for themselves in a safe haven of Canada. And how do they relate to the people here? Through hockey. In this instance, it was hockey. In this instance, it was Guy Lafleur. It was an exciting, blonde-haired, super fast guy who scored goals and brought titles back home, right? Easy to follow a guy like that. And the Montreal Canadiens need to find a way to kind of get back to not so much the titles, but getting back to the level of consistency where everybody relates to the Canadiens, everybody wants to be a part of the Montreal Canadiens, and that has gotten away from them a little bit. How do they capture that magic again is something that Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon are tasked with. So that's where we're at. The Montreal Canadiens have 2 more games to go. They're on a 9-game losing streak. Wednesday, they're in New York City without Carey Price. Why did Carey Price start Saturday night? Anybody know? Why did he start in Ottawa? Like, I couldn't believe it. Why wasn't he starting Sunday at home to Boston? Like, I don't get it. Anyways, Price looked terrible Saturday in Ottawa, and he's not going to play, obviously, Wednesday, the Rangers. It looks like he's going to play the season finale at home Friday night against the Florida Panthers. So that's what's in store. It's been a crazy weekend of sports. Formula One was fantastic. Charles Leclerc, like, what are you thinking, brother? Ferrari was poised to go 1-2 at Imola, and that doesn't happen. We've seen Charles Leclerc, the young driver for Ferrari, make some boneheaded decisions time and time again. But let me tell you, on the subject of boneheaded decisions, nobody was worse at their job than Angel Hernandez was in Sunday Night Baseball yesterday. Phillies and Brewers. I mean, this guy wasn't even close, man. He wasn't even close. And this is the problem. This is the problem that Major League Baseball has to address immediately. They need to remove Angel Hernandez from the task of being a home plate umpire, because you are bad at your job, full stop. Here's the thing about being a referee or about being an umpire in any sport, okay? You got bobos like me that can make the call. You know, like when the ball reaches the mid of the first baseman, and then 1 Mississauga, 2 Mississauga later, you hear the step on first base. I can make that call. You can make that call. Your sister can make that call. But guess what? You get graduated to the NFL, to Major League Baseball, to the National Hockey League, because your ability to nail the bang-bang call is 100%. That's how you get to those levels. Any idiot with a working set of eyes can make the "you're out by a mile, you're offside by a country mile" call. Anybody can do that with working eyes. But the bang-bang plays, the plays where you have to zoom in and need extra slow motion, that's why you're at that level, because you have the ability of getting the hard call right 100% of the time. Except Angel Hernandez, who, by the way, let me break it to you, Angel Hernandez, nobody is here to see you. We're here to see Kyle Schwarber. We're here to see the athletes on the field. Not you, referee Tim Peel. Not you, Angel Hernandez. I wish you didn't exist in sports. You suck. You ruin sports. So stay out of the way, do your job, call it the way you should, and if you can't call it because you have a bias or you want to be the show, then step aside. The sport doesn't need you, baby. Move away. And this is where Major League Baseball has to intervene before we get to the world of robo-umpires, because that's what's next. We just saw this last week against the Flyers, where the referee's telling Mike, you can't challenge that. The referee in hockey doesn't even know the rule. What about the penalty shot yesterday in the Canadiens and Bruins game? Huh? What? What are we talking about here? And now we have Angel Hernandez with the strike zone that's as wide as a 5-lane California highway. Give me a break. You're not the show. Nobody wants to see you. Please leave. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. We'll be back all week. Thanks to my sponsors, as always, K-Stop Gas Bar and Dippener. Feels like a good day to go play some pickleball. I think that's what I'm going to do today, okay? We'll see you later. Don't forget, Poutineville, Vaudreuil-Dorion, open Thursday through Saturday this week, okay, my friends? Thank you so much. You support me by supporting my sponsors. In the Car with Star.